All right, so greetings. My name is Biba Bright, and I'm a bioinformatician and a data science person. For Before I continue, for us to look at the introduction to Linux Part 7, please do me a favor and subscribe to this channel, and then also share it and invite your colleagues to also subscribe to it. All I do is bioinformatics, data science, and the two of them are inseparable. All right, so today we are going to look at the most used functions in Linux. The most used functions in Linux. There are some functions in Linux that are used consistently, and we need to get to know how to be able to use them. All right, so that's what we are going to do. And I'll put more emphasis on the tar function and then the sed function, the two of them. All right, so I'm already sharing my screen, and let's see how this is going to look like. Okay, so I'm going straight to this is my Linux terminal. So I'm going to do ls, and then by now, if you're following my tutorial, you should know what ls is all about. Ls means list the content. I'm listing the content of my what is it? My home folder. So let's look at some of the functions that I'm talking about. I just did a Google search, and these are check some of the functions we can think about. We have the cat, the pwd, the grep, and then the ls, the echo, the sort command. This one allows us to be able to arrange our files in a particular order. Then the file command is the sed. This is where I want to put more emphasis, and then the tar command. So the rest, I think, what is it? We have used most of them, except that we have used make directory with to create folder copy. We can copy file head. We want to see the first lines. Okay, we want to see the last lines. Move. We move either a file or a folder to or a directory to a different directory or to a different in that order. Remove, it means to delete. CD means to change directory. Cat means to print the content of a file. And then grep simply means that we are trying to isolate or extract files using rules or using patterns. And then the list, I've already spoken about it in that order. Now, now let's go and then practice just a few of them. So like, for instance, the ls, and then you have it this way. But I said that for purpose of emphasis, if you want to know much more about any of the command, you have ls, and then you just do help. And then if you don't want, you can do one dash, and then you put just h like this, and then it will still give you the same thing. Okay. So, but I think I like to go with the flag help. I didn't spell help well. And then if I do this, then it tells you these are the various commands that we can use. So let's just pick one. You see there's one flag here called dash small t. Then it will sort by, it will sort, like it will list the content and sort it in a particular order. So let's say I say ls, let me clear my screen. If I say ls, and then I say dash t. So it's going to list the content, but it will arrange it in a particular order based on dates, and then in that order. So you can also say what is ls, and then you have dash l, and then you know that it will give you a long list. When you see that means it is a file. If you see d means it is a directory. Then all these are like execution permissions and stuff. I've already explained all this. Now, so let me clear my screen. If you look at another command, that is the cat. Cat allows us to be able to print the content of a file. So I don't know if I have a file which is here. So if I do my ls again, I think maybe I have some files here. So I have file 1 and file 4. If there was a content in it, I would say cat, and I'll simply say file 1, and then see what will be. There's nothing inside. If there was something, it will print it. So this is how we use the cat over there. Then grep allows us to be able to just pick a pattern. If you follow my previous video, I've spoken about grep. Echo allows us to be able to write, or to just write strings into a file. So I get back here. For instance, this file 1, there was nothing in it, but let's assume that I want to put something into that file 1. I can simply just say echo like this, and then you simply always have what a double quote, and then you move in between the quote. I'm just going to put this particular thing there, and then from there, I want to put it in that file called file 1. So what will I do? I will simply just use my greater than sign, and then I'll put it into what file 1. I think so. File 1. File 1 is already created, and so now if I go and then let me clear my screen. So now if I go if I go and I say cut file 1 this way, so you see that the content is now inside there. And so the file 1 is now containing that particular content. This is how we are able to use the echo, allows us to write a string. So we also have, I'm going to jump some of them because I've already used them. This one is remove directory. And then we have touch. Touch we used to be able to create files, all sorts of files. It can be text file, can be a tar file, can be, or we're using it momentarily. And then man works just like the way help work, but man is used for Unix commands. I don't know if I have an example of a Unix command. For if I say cd, and then I don't know whether I have to use this and then put the, or it's supposed to be, let's say cd, and then if I put that man, I don't know whether it's supposed to be, but it works just like help. And then it's going to give you exactly the description of how you are able to use the command, then in that order. That's how man works. It works exactly like help, but it works on Unix commands, not on the other what are the commands that we have. Right. So I want to emphasize more on this particular one. I want to emphasize more on the seed and then the tar command. These two here, the seed command and then the tar command, and that's why I'm rushing. So now let's start with the C command. So, but before then, let me move to MNT and then go to my drive C, go to my users, then go to my own name. Of course, let me go to my desktop. Okay, in my desktop, let me go to Excel. So I think I need this. So now I am inside my Excel. Now, what is the seed command used for? Like this. It is used to make sure that you replaced a word in a file with another word. For instance, if I come here, I want to list. You see, I have a lot of files here. Let me print one of the files and then the content of one of the files, and let's see. Let's say head. So I'm going to just print the first 10 lines of, let's say, this particular file called .csv. So I printed it. So you can see all the files and then their names here. Let's assume that I want to change this particular name here, dicosis or something. What is it? Or let me change high. I can pronounce this one properly. I'm going to change high into low. I want to change that particular description. This is what we use seed for. So I want to replace it with another thing. I can replace it with nothing. Just like the way we use in Excel, we have find and replace. This is how seed works. Find and replace. You find the word or the pattern, and then within a text, and then you replace it. Okay, so let's see. So I'm going to cut one. I'm going to print one of the files. So I have file 1 here. So let me cut it. You see, if you check inside file 1, I have a word here called bioinformatics. Let's assume that I want to change the word bioinformatics into bioinformaticians. So coding is at the core of bioinformaticians, not bioinformatics. So I want to change that word. So how do I do that? But the file contains it. So I want to go into the file and change it. And this is where we use seed. So I clear my screen as usual. Then I'll come here. You start with the seed like this. And then you move a bit into, and then you have this, your single quote. You start with this single quote, and then followed by S. S means substitution. You are going to substitute. Okay. And then which particular word are you going to substitute? We are going to look for a particular word, which is called informatics. Okay. And then we are going to replace it with what? Bioinformaticians. All right. And then when we say bioinformatics, we are going to replace it with bioinformaticians. And so I'm simply going to do this star. And then that's all. And then I'll close it with another double quote like this. And then where am I going to do this substitution? I'm going to do it in a particular file. Which file? Then I have to now specify the file name, which is file 1. Let's say file 1. So when I do that, you see that now it has changed it from bioinformatics into what? Bioinformaticians. And that's exactly what said is being done. We use it to be able to change a word to replace it with another word in a file. All right. So you can do this, or you could have also done this and replace it with nothing. And so there'll be nothing inside there. So maybe let's try that and see what will happen. Let's say I want to come here, and then in the replace, I haven't done this before. I haven't practiced this before. I'm just going to try it and see. But you notice that some things you just use your own tricks. So you notice that we said coding is at the core of nothing. Initially, it was coding is at the core of bioinformaticians. Oh, we replace it. This time around, it's nothing. The place is empty. There's nothing in it. So sometimes this is how we clean our file. We find the specific file that we want or the specific pattern that we want, and then we replace it with nothing. And that's all. And so this is one of the ways we are able to do that. Now, let's assume that we want to do this, this particular set, we want to replace it in a column. All right. So we have a file which is seated somewhere, which is in the form of rows and columns. And then within the column, there are names that we want to replace it with a different name. Like I've already said, so let's say I want to use head and then minus dash n and then 20 and then data dots. So I'm just going to print the first 20 lines. And let's say, you see the first 20 lines, you can see that I have all these names like Durum. But I want to replace the Durum with Durum 1, Durum 2, Durum 3. That's what I want to do. So I have to check to know which particular column it is. Then I go into that particular column and then do this. This is where we combine knowledge. We combine knowledge in the sense that you pick one part of your knowledge, another one, and then you put that together. But before I do that, there's something I did not explain, and I need to do that quickly. Now, for instance, with this particular one, we are replacing the bioinformatics with bioinformaticians. What about if this bioinformatics had appeared in different places within the document? Here, it will only replace the first instance of bioinformatics. But if you wanted to replace, maybe let's say the second one, you come to this particular code and then you use the nth level. So I would have said 2. The 2 means that the second appearance of bioinformatics, replace it with bioinformaticians. But the first appearance of bioinformatics, you keep that one like that. That's what it means. Now, if I bring 3, it means that the third appearance of bioinformatics, replace that particular word with bioinformaticians. But the rest of the bioinformatics that is found in the file, do not do anything to them. And that's what I am talking about. What about if you want to replace all the bioinformatics in the entire file, all the appearances, then you use G. When you use G, anywhere it finds bioinformatics, it will replace it. And then you will not find, it will be bioinformaticians, as you can see, bioinformatician here, bioinformaticians there. And then you will see bioinformatics all over the place. It will replace everything. So that's the emphasis I wanted to make. Now, coming to the other parts, let's assume that here we want to go into, so now let me print this again. We want to go into the third column and then make sure that we change all the Durum into Durum 1. That's what we want to do. So what do we do? First of all, we need to identify the column. And to use that, we use the cut function. And the cut, we use a delimiter. And the delimiter, we have to follow it with comma like this. So we are using a CSV file, so it should be comma separated. Well, the delimiter is comma. Then we go into F-F, which is telling us which particular column. I think it's column 3, if I'm not mistaken. Column 3. And then in which particular file is in data dot CSV, because this particular file is found in the current working directory called Excel. Remember, you should know that the file you're working on is inside your current working directory, or you indicate the full path to where the file is, and then you're good to go. But because I'm working from my current working directory and where this file is found, I just keep it there like that. So here, if I do this, and then I print it, let's see, yeah, as you can see, it prints that particular column, and you can see the durum here. But now, this is what I want to do. So I want to replace all the durum with durum1. So I've already selected the column. What is the next thing? The next thing is to now use the pipe operator. Pipe it into what? Into the next command. And the command that will simply replace it. Which command do that kind of substitution? That's where you bring your seed. See? And then when you now bring your seed, what's the next thing to do? Should I pause and wait for you to answer? So you bring your seed, what is it, over there. And then the seed is now going into the resource here. Remember? So it will start with here and followed by S. And then followed by, usually, the S means substitution. What are you substituting? We are substituting a word called durum with what? With another word called durum, or should I put double M? Any way that you want, because then the next word, that one is your discretion. So I'll put it like durum. Okay, let me stick with what I said earlier. And then you have your /. If I put something like this, it's going to replace only the first instance of the durum. Okay, here, have you noticed that? So okay, now it has replaced all the all the durum. It uses the default, and so all the durum will be replaced with what? This. But let's assume that I wanted to replace it with the first one. So let me put one there, and then run it. Well, what is it? I noticed this part, it did not work like the way I wanted, because I wanted it to replace only the first instance of the durum. And so it replaces all of them. I don't know how it works in the case of a CSV file, but in the case of a text file, we specify the number and then it works just fine for us. So here we've already selected it, and then this is what I should have done. Let me go back again and then try and see maybe if, let's say, I want to replace it with the third instance. The third instance, nothing replaced. It did not replace it. Now let me check the second instance, 2, nothing. And then let me check the first instance, which is also the default. Then it replaces it. So what I am assuming is that because cat works in lines, so it's going to go in. It is assuming that this is just one. It's just one in all the case, and that's why it's replacing everything there. So if you also leave the default without the one, without specifying, it will still replace all of them. And then what is it? That's what I am, or what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll check out for how to be able to replace just one out of the rest. And then, so maybe if I wanted to replace one, maybe there should be an additional command that I'll be able to do that. But this is how we are able to use the seed to be able to look for a specific word, then replace it. That's in a way of like editing, and then you are good to go. Now, the last part, this video is becoming too long. The last part is how to be able to use the tar command. And so I'm going to clear my screen and then come down a little bit. How are we going to use the tar command? The tar command. The tar command is used to be able to archive files together, or to put files together. For instance, most times when we have downloaded our data, the data is kept in a zip format, in a zip or in a tar format, in such a way that we will have to go and then unzip it. So how do people put this together? In Windows, we just use WinRAR, and then we zip our files together. In command line, we use tar to be able to do that. So when we have something like, let's say tar, Then we can follow it with a command like I think C. The C stands for what is it? Combine. Then we have V, and then we have F. The V means verbose. Verbose means put the files the way the person, the owner has arranged them. And when you are extracting it, extract it accordingly. That's the V. And then the F means that follow this, what the data is practically the same pattern. And so this is what we actually use. And then when we use tar, we follow it by this particular flag. I think it is a flag, so we start with CVF. And then we now add the name or the file that you have already created in which you want it to hold, or the tar file that you have already created that you want it to hold the rest of the files. So now let me do it this way, and then you see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to list my, and then you check something. I have files here called file 1, 2, 3, up to 4. Now I have created a file here called files.tar. So I want to zip all the file 1 up to 4 into the files.zar. Okay, now maybe I should do it all over again. So first of all, to be able to zip all your files, first of all, you have to touch. You do touch, and then here I'm going to say files.tar. Sorry, .tar. When you use file.tar, it means you have created a file called files.tar. Or should I give it a different name? Let me say my files.tar. So I have created that particular file, which is seated on my computer now. So what is the next thing? The next thing is to now, and what files am I going to put inside there? So let me list. I am going to put file 1, file 2, file 3, file 4 into my files.tar. You can see my file.tar that I created, which is here. So the next thing I will now say, I will start with tar function. Then I'll follow by CVF. I think it's dash CVF. CVF. And then follow by the name of the tar file. So it's my files.tar. I think so. .tar. I hope I'm spelling it properly. My files.tar. And then you leave a space. Then add the names of the files that you want. So I have file 1. I have file 2. I have file 3. I have file 4. So what I'm simply saying is that I am packing file 1, file 2, file 3, file 4 into what is it? This particular tar file. I am zipping everything there into this particular file, and then that's it. When I do this, if I do this, and if I run it, if I run the command, yes, you see that it has packed all of them into it. If you want to find out this, go to your desktop. So I'm going to go to my desktop now. Go to my Excel. So this is my Excel. Then when you go there and then you check through, you will see that I have created a file here. There's a file here called files.tar. So if I extract this particular file right now, then you should be able to see all the files that are zipped into it, all the 4 files. So they ask me why am I and what I'm zipping it to. Let me put it on my desktop, my ordinary desktop. So I have kept it on my desktop now. So if I go to my desktop itself, you should see that the files are here: file 1, file 2, file 3, file 4, and then in that order. So all the files, because they are text files, that is why you see them this way. So all the files are there. So this is how we are able to zip a file, or we are able to combine or to compress a file using the tar function. There is also an instance where you can also combine the files, and then zip them. And that is when you are using the zip, or you are using, and it's not too different from what we have done. But in that case, you only add Z into the flag that we have created. For instance, I should have also created what is it? A zip file. So I'm going to say touch again, and I'm going to say my files dot tar dot zip. So that's a zip file I'm going to create. So the file is created. Now, if I list now, you should be able to find my files. So that particular file is stated here, but for now it is empty. So what is the next thing to do? The next thing, let me clear my screen a bit. And we say that we want to move all the 4 files into that particular file, or we want to zip the 4 files that I've already created, which are standing, into the zip file. So it's the same way I will start with my tar, but this time around, my flag will have C, which means combine, followed by V, that's the verbose, I've already explained that, followed by the Z, because it's a zip file now, and then followed by the F. And then you move ahead and then mention the name of the zip folder. Yes, coming. And then, what is it? I'm on video. I'm doing a video. Yeah. He's not around, please. Thank you. So we move from here. Then now we mention the name of this particular file here, which we have here. All right. So I'll just copy it. I just pasted it. So we are zipping all the files into this. So I'll now come and say, I mention the file's name, like file 1. But in this case, we could have also used a particular pattern to identify all the files here. If you could remember, we could have said that anything that starts with F and then ends with, okay, all the endings are not the same. We could have said that anything that starts with followed by 2 characters. But when we do that, it will pick other files that have the same pattern here, and then that way, it will be tough for us. So let me just write them. But you can use the wildcards to be able to combine all the files together. So I have file 1, let's say file 2, and then file 3. This time, let me leave it at file 3. And then you run that. So you see that it's creating the zip file. It has already finished creating them. Now, when you go to my desktop, or when you go to my desktop and then you go to my Excel, then you should be able to see that zip file. So you can see that the zip file is stated here. And so when we extract the zip file again, you will notice that all the 4 files or the 3 files that we have are seated inside there, just like the way. So if I say extract the files, I'm extracting it to. So if I extract everything here, you will find everything here. And then let's say, so we should be able to find all of them being extracted. And then this is how we zip our files in Excel. Apart from this, we could have also, if we know the directory, or if we wanted to zip all the files, all the CSV files, we could have also said tar, let's say tar here, and then we have, depending on how we wanted to zip it, we would have created the zip file already, and then we say C, and then we have our B, then we have our Z, and then F, that's our flag. Then we mention the zip file that we have already created. So which could possibly be, let's say my files dot star dot zip, like this. And then what are the files that we are going to look for? Then I could simply say star dot CSV. So we are looking at all the CSV files, and we are packing all of them into this particular, and we are zipping all of them into this particular zip file. And then that is all. So when we do that, I don't know. So you notice that it has packed quite a number of them. It's still packing them. You see that it's still packing all of them into the zip file, and then everything will be there. Now the zip file is now very easy. Now if I now go to my my desktop, I go to my Excel, and then I go to my this particular file. Let's assume that I want to extract 2 files. let's say extract files. This way, I want it to give me an option so that I'll extract it to my desktop, or this time let me say my documents, and then do this. So it has extracted. If I go to my documents, then we should be able to find all those files. We should be able to find all those files. I think is my something something. I'm trying to look for the file. Maybe it has extracted in the form of a folder. And so I need to check for that folder, and then we see where we can find it. Or is it? So, or maybe on another side, because of time, let me do this. So this, you can do this. Then another way is you should be able to extract the file yourself on this particular, on what you're using this. And this will be the last part of the video. So we've already created this files, my file.tar. And so if we are going to extract it, it's the same command. Here, we are going to say tar. And then the tar, instead of now saying C, the dash C, which was the compressed, this time around we are executing. So we start with X, and then followed by the verbose as usual, and then followed by F. And then we move ahead, and then what are we extracting? We are extracting this particular file here, because that one is not a zip file. So we didn't add Z to our flag. So I'm just, oh, you cannot copy that way. So I'm just here, I'm copying it, then I'll come and put it here. And then that's the files I am. So you see that it will extract all the 3 files that I am talking about. And it has extracted them. So all the files will be here. Now, if you extract, you can extract it to a different file, and then copy the output into a different file. If we wanted to also extract the zip file, then it would have been the same thing, but this time around, we would have added Z. We would have added Z here to specify that we are extracting a zip file. And here we would have ended it with the what is it? The zip, was it? My files.zip, my files.tar.zip, and then that was it. So you see that it is extracting everything. So it will extract all the files that we just copied right now, all the CSV file that we zip into it. So these are the various ways we use the seed, and then we also use the tar. I think the video has become quite long. I didn't plan it this way, but I hope that it will help you to be able to understand how these things work. Thank you, and I hope it's been useful. Thank you very much.